So timestamps exist in case you want to skip forward, because we're certainly going to be scouting first. Again, a lot of my carrots did come from trophies, although you might not have known that because you might not have watched the other video. Although we will use these scout tickets. I might as well, they're sitting here, so I figure I might as well record these because it's fun to watch people scout, isn't it? At times. I do know more than a few people who got really, really lucky, both streamers, content creators, and or just people I know in real life. But as we get 1 King Halo, it would be nice to get a 2-star, a 3-star most preferably, but I mean, you never know for sure, right? We'll let this play out because there's some things. Again, either before or after this video gets uploaded, you will probably see basically a status update as we get another Sakura Bakshino. That song is blasting 50% of the time I walk into the lobby, but otherwise, yeah, I do go over my own support cards at least. I don't know if you want to see, if you're interested in seeing anything else, let me know. Whether it's the veterans that I've trained so far, some of them I've already transferred, but if you want to see anything else, again, as always, just let me know. Otherwise, we will use these scout tickets here because I just want one more copy of Kita-san Black. And for those who don't know, I did end up only exchanging for 1 copy. My 1 copy is the one that I exchanged, so shrug. Also note that, as we kind of just sit here and watch, the reason why I don't use more general terms at times is because I usually, whatever game I'm playing, I like to use the vocabulary of the game I'm playing. So instead of limit breaks or limit breaks, I say uncaps, and instead of pulls, I like to say scouts. And then as I learn, well, you can still call it pity, but spark or exchange, I use exchange as well. You know what I didn't do, as I accidentally hit my setup? That was the sound of my hand hitting my face. But yeah, this is gonna be a thing. So I do really regret as we get more. That's just more of the currency. I forgot what it's called, but you get the point. I have an uncapped Aoi video. If you watch the video that comes before or after this at some point, you'll know that I've uncapped my Aoi SR, but that's not the important thing for me to do. So as we actually get into preparations here, I'm snapping my fingers as if Future Jordan can hear me, but and we let the screen load. It's a gold chip video, but we are going to, if Future Jordan has not set the thumbnail, then you're gonna see what I think I've figured something out if I wanted to run this. Now I don't, because usually I try to grind for stamina, but I think it works out relatively well as well. But well, we will take stamina for this. We get Pace Chaser, but funny enough, I do want to use this A Aptitude and Pace Chaser because there is something I want to do here. Do I do that? No. Let's just be sure though, because I think... yeah, I think that'll be okay. So I liked setting Simply Rudolph primarily for her skill, and yes, I was training dirt racers before this, but I think we're gonna go with this. So yes, it's a level 18 SR, my on a Top Gun, but that's also just because I'm trying to train you. But just to show that even with this kind of training deck, you can be perfectly fine. And that's because, yeah, we are gonna be playing with Wits to some extent. As my chair creaks beneath me, but it's fine, timestamps exist. So, Jordan should be skipping ahead to the timestamp. That's why I'm silent at times. For those who are newer and who don't know why I might go silent for a few seconds, and to another end, I don't like staying silent for more than a few seconds because, as it turns out, at least being a content creator, it works out a lot better, even if you're yapping on about nearly nothing, because otherwise you're just getting a video that is dead silent. Do I just want to do things? Let's actually, yeah, you know what? Let's actually do what I normally don't like to do, which is recreation. Now that was not the best recreation, but if I want to be frisky or if I don't see a good turn here, I'm just gonna do speed training. Then I would have recreation again. That's what you are. I see at least some trainers and guides advise you to do if you're opening your. I say opening. If you are... that's stamina, right? I believe? Yeah, it is. If you are basically following what most people do. But again, it's to your own flavor. I won't say that that's a certain fact that most people hit recreation on their first turn, but there's always going to be some nuance here and there, which I think helps make Uma Musume more fun to play, as odd as that might sound to some who don't believe that, you know, you're really playing a game when you're playing Uma Musume, which is a game in itself. Oh my goodness, okay, I guess we will recreation. Yeah, and then we get karaoke. Oh, my mood. I mean, I don't need to be that min-maxy when the game is has a fair amount of RNG. Let's not try to cut that any other way, but I guess we'll do Wits here. and move on with life. But yeah, I've heard the saying that, you know, you're not really playing a game when you're playing Musume, but I would disagree, because otherwise there would be a whole host... Okay, we'll do Wits again. There's a whole host of genre that does not count. And it's not like... I don't think if we were to kind of play devil's advocate here... Oh, the Biko Pegasus is fine. But I think it's understandable where that sentiment comes from, because you would want to have control in your races, but... Or some people would want to have control during a race, but I don't think that would actually be what you... Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to implement it in a fun way that makes it good for most players, but there's a very specific reason why I would not, and that's simply because this is ultimately a gacha. So the two bad ways that it would most certainly go down is it... Well, first of all, the fact that it's online. Although I'm not saying that the online for most games is going to be bad, although I have a very specific bias towards that myself. But yeah, coordinating basically skill-based things that you have to do in-game on a game that may have more than 10 to 18 people connecting at once in an instance, let's just say, tends to not lend itself to good practical use from what I have experienced so far. But on the other side of that is, yes, it's a gacha, so basically it becomes a very, 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 very pay to win. I know you can say, well, Jordan, isn't the game pay to win already? Also, quick tangent, I'm just gonna try to take energy where I remember it. That's one example of many, but anywho. Yeah, I don't need to take anything. I shouldn't need to, and we're gonna set Pace Chaser here to avoid being blocked for RNG. But yeah, so basically it becomes very, very, very more pay to win than it already is, if you believe in that. If you don't believe in that, I would be on the side of saying it becomes a lot more pay to win, if you are allowed some control during races. Side games forbid that some kind of... If we were in a world where you had some control in races, there would be some kind of monetization or microtransaction involved with things that you can do in race, which would be very not good in my opinion. But you make money, but I don't think that would be good on top of everything else you're already doing with the Musume IPs, and let's just say that. Anywho, but again, that's just me and my little experience here and there. What do I want to do here? I think I just want to still do Wits, funny enough. Yeah, because we don't have any good turns. So the whole consistency here is that you just do Wits training, you rest as little as possible, and you do speed. Now, the nuance here is that we're training Goldship, who usually wants more stamina anyway, and yeah, I will do some other trainings, especially power once we get to a point, but for the most part, if possible, you want to be hitting Wits and speed. Stamina, I will take less stamina if we can grab stamina skills, or stamina recovery skills. That would be correct to say, but that doesn't seem like it's happening because, well, one, the deck that I decided to go with, but two, other things. Let me see here. Is there anything else? Actually, funny enough, I think I just hit recreation here. Especially since we have a resource sapper that is maxed SR King Halo speed support, and I'll let you know what I mean when we get there. But otherwise, basically we'll take any good stamina, power, or guts training if we have completely terrible speed training, or nothing in speed training or wits training. And then if I need something else, like Infirmary, though that would be really, really bad, we'll do that instead of the 3 middle trainings, essentially. Stamina, power, and guts. But you get what I'm trying to say at this point. That being said, I guess I am going to try and push the threshold here in terms of what I can get away with. Now, I think I still believe, and I've said this a long time ago too, you can actually find proof of this if you look in a certain community, but I do think you still want all of your stats to be at least 200, 250, and I'm gonna even go so far as to say as by the right before summer vacation, which is when a lot of trainees have their goal races anyway that can matter and that you can get bottlenecked at, or at least you lose a few clocks here and there, is that you do want all of your stats to be at least 200, 250. Guts can be at 200 or 180. I would give that much, but... And I'm not saying that this is a hard... Like, I truly believe in this. I mean, for consistency's sake, you usually want your stats that way. But again, it also depends on your situation. For example, my stamina could remain this way well, the most obvious example is if I'm doing sprint or mile races, I don't need to work on stamina at all. But, yeah, let's just do stamina training, fine. But, we are training, whenever I train medium and longs, and especially gold chips, because the gold chip has more than a few long races, again, people might have seen, and that's partly the reason why Future Jordan might have made the thumbnail and video intro the way he did, but Musume being a Wits game, yeah, that's right. There are some details to that, though. I'm not saying that anyone who says that or believes in that is wrong, because it is certainly right to say, very right to say, actually. All you have to do is look on the other 3 servers that are not global, and you will find proof. But otherwise, as we yeah, because we're just going to work on stamina, we should have more than enough speed. In fact, if I could take Go Home Specialist, that would be what I actually prefer. Although we might not have a downhill. I think at least 2 of the goal races, I need to start checking up race information as well, but I feel like 2 of Gold Chip's goal races have the downhill. Although a part of me believes that's because Gold Chip has that inbuilt with potential, and not just because it just happened to be coincidence. But we did get second. I would have liked to win, but them's the breaks, and we can't go and, as people are finding out, you cannot look at replays when you skip races, so you don't know what happens exactly. But I've seen more than a few races to assume that we probably got held up. We started on the final spurt at 10th or 12th place, which is not impossible to get first in, especially if you're an end closer or a late chaser, but it's not late chaser. But you get what I mean, late runner, whatever it's called. If you're one of the 2 later strategies, you can win first. It's just that things can happen. It could have also been a power problem. It could be any number of problems. Although those who know more about Musume will be more likely, if not accurate, are more accurate in their assessment of what goes wrong during a race. But for the most part, I mean, you can use common sense and figure out what exactly happened. So we do want to take a race in between. I don't think I'm gonna go trophy hunting for the sake of making this video as content as possible, and content meaning, hey, I get to URA Finals. So I am still gonna take Tokyo Yushin here, just primarily for the fan number, but if you can do Wits, which is great here, then yeah. And I guess I should explain for those who don't know what I'm doing at all. So you take Wits whenever you need to heal energy, because if you haven't noticed, you recover energy when you take the Wits training. But the other side of that, as we gamble on a 9%, thankfully, we succeeded, is that you're getting speed while you do Wits training, you get energy while you do Wits training, and then instead of resting, you just do Wits. Now, obviously, there's a break point in which you want to just rest around this or lower, because otherwise you have to do too many Wits training and you're not increasing your other stats, but you make up for it elsewhere. So that's the other side of it, and I think some people get it not wrong, but get it a little, misunderstand the point of this Wits training. And I know people like to dunk on Wits builds in team trials, which is a valid point, but at the same time, when we really get basically when we get to Aoharu, let's just say it outright because everyone knows that's the next scenario. Or for those who don't know, there are scenarios in this game that are different from URA Finals. So when you get into those, Wits builds become a lot stronger from what I've seen. I don't know if that's true for sure based on what I've read and prior experience, because again, I have to work on my memory and what I've seen so far, but I haven't actually. Oh my goodness, we got a good inspiration. But let's see what let's actually see what this inspiration is. I know I'm skipping past it, but with sparks, we got race sparks, aptitude sparks, and we got mile aptitude, which I didn't need, but we get turf aptitude up. That's great. Just really quickly, for those who don't know, the color being gold there means you get a really good inspiration, which you're gonna get a lot from it, whether it's just from your stats or from sparks that are white as well. But anywho, and that's helped by the aptitude of your inheritances at the very beginning of your career preparation, which is why it is important to pay attention to that, but you do want to look at your overall. Again, there are different factors as I rewind back to the previous point. In fact, let's actually watch some of these races, because that's what I wanted to do too. I mean, we can start watching from now. Hopeful Stakes and the Junior Make Debut is pretty self-explanatory. You can run. You could be okay, basically. You'll be okay pretty much no matter what, unless your stats are really, really low because you're just starting the game for whatever reason, or you get blocked. But Yeah, but there are different factors. So the Wits build here relies on the fact that you have a lot of skills, because when you have high Wits, your skill rate essentially increases. Actually, I want to look that up, because now I want to be super sure. I normally don't like to drop an equation here and there, but while we're waiting here as the game is loading, I mean, I have the time. So, and yeah, we'll let the race play out. Oh my goodness. That being said, let me see here. Oh my goodness. I had it, and I guess I lost the page. It might be somewhere else. Is it here? Might be here. No, it's not. I know a lot of guides link to each other, and by guides I mean reference sheets as well, or even be more specific, reference documents, but let me see here. And they put a lot of good work. I hear the sound of a late start, and I look over and I see late start, but I can put in the number 9, or is it 9,000? Yeah, it's 9,000. 9,000, nope, it's not in this document. So what I'm specifically looking for is basically the skill proc rate based on your wits, and if I'm recalling correctly, the game only takes into account your base wits, not the modified wits based on aptitudes and whatnot for your skill proc rate specifically. I'm going to move my mic because I'm looking over at something else. Do I really not have this? I thought I had it pulled up. Now I'm just really sad. It would be mechanics, right? Yeah, the mechanics. Specifically, race mechanics. And for those who don't know, these are literally the names. So, let's see. Max of 100 minus 9,000 divided by base wits. And you can basically plug that into a calculator and you'll know. So, with 200 wits, I mean, I could just put that in myself. No, I can't, actually, because that would not be right. So, with 200 wits, you have an approximate... yeah. And I think this is base wits even before URA modifiers as well. URA difficulty modifier. Just to explain for those who don't know, when you're playing the URA scenario, story mode / career mode, you get a buff to your stats, 400 for each, I believe. If that's not the case, then that would mean I'm doing some of these calculations wrong on my notes. But, let's see here. I'm getting that wrong. Am I getting that wrong? 9,265. Really? Oh, well, no, that makes sense as we win this race. We didn't get held up. I was taking occasional glances back. This is what happens when you don't get blocked as much. We were kind of blocked here and there, and now sometimes it might not seem like you're getting blocked, but you are being blocked. I was mistaken to believe that you needed to be a lot closer. You can even be diagonally somewhat far, and that counts as you being blocked. But again, that's a moderate distance. And by that, I mean, if you want to use the visuals as a visual, because the visuals are basically a representation if you want to go into computer speak, into the game itself, but I think there's still an accurate representation of what's happening overall. Silence for timestamps. But yeah. So with the 100 wit, yeah, basically from 100 to 200 wits, you get the biggest jump. And that's why, if nothing else, you want to be at least 200. I say 300 though. I think 300 is the next big jump overall. But again, it depends on what you are looking for. In this particular training route, we are trying to push wits a lot more, which means our stamina might be a bit lower. Even though, yes, we don't have a wits support card, you'll be perfectly fine. If for no other reason, then just trust me, bro, I've seen people run this. And if nothing else, literally go into team trials, look at, I mean, if you're in class 3 or above, look at the top 10 or even just top 5 and look at these support cards. Their long racers will usually look something like this. Sometimes a stamina card, I'm really deciding whether or not I want to do wits or not, or just guts. I think I'm just going to do guts here. Sometimes a stamina card is replaced with wits. Sometimes there is a little difference, but most of the time you'll see, you know, McQueen, usually Super Creek. There are a few, well, at least in my class, class 5, I think I'm in class 5. Class 5, you are in, you'll see a few SR Hayano Top Guns. Blah, blah, blah. And then you'll see, yeah, you'll see a lot of Special Week and Kita-san Black. You'll definitely see Kita-san Black. You'll see more than a few Super, Special Week, at least. But otherwise, cards that kind of make sense. And there was kind of a back and forth between people who were looking at... I'm not going to do Takarazuka Kinen because I want to look at my stat. Do I want to do Takarazuka Kinen? No, I'm going to do Summer Training. And I'm going to explain why in a hot moment. But let's just make sure. No, we need the stamina, actually. Also, really quickly, your stamina is not directly the exact stamina, or more specifically HP you have. Stamina determines the amount of HP you have in a race, so there is a conversion there. But still, high stamina good, lower stamina bad for longer races. So, that being said, the other nuance is that you're still just trying to outstat your opponents. But that being said, the opposite is true as well, where we can skip this one. I want to watch Takarazuka Kinen. Never mind! We get slapped here. I think a lot of this is due to our guts actually being too low. And if nothing else, wits for sure, the jump between increasing your wits from 100 to 200 does make a big difference. Oh, this was an optional race. Never mind. I was like, I got 6, but I went on. No, that's because this is an optional race. With that said, if my guts is lower than 200, I'm not gonna enter Takarazuka Kinen. It's too risky. So, what we're instead gonna do is, I guess we just forget about Takarazuka Kinen, which makes me sad. Which is gonna actually make me a lot more sad. Do I still want to try it? I can still try it. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, so if nothing else, I want to watch this race, or kind of watch it. But what I was saying earlier is, yeah, the jump from 100 to 200 wits in terms of proc rate, let me just make sure here. So it's 55% skill chance for each skill. I think each skill goes through this roll, if I'm correct, if I recall correctly. But if you have 100 wits, I mean, actually, that's just totally bad, isn't it? No, it's not. You have a 20% because the game looks at the max of that calculation that I'm doing, 100 minus 9,000 divided by wits, or 20. So with 100 wits, you get a 10%, but that boosts it up to 20% because that's your minimum amount of skill proc chance, which isn't good if you're looking to proc skills. So, but if you have 200 wits, that immediately jumps to, oops, that was not the number I wanted to put down. We can go to the beginning of the race. And you have a 55% chance to proc skills with 200 wits. So, essentially the simple way to say it is, once you go through this calculation, every one of your skills that has a proc chance based on wits, which is nearly all of them, has that amount based on the calculation I gave you. The numbers here are even more, I mean, there are numbers literally right in front of me, but they don't have 200 wits, so let me just do this just to be sure. Yeah, so with 300 wits, you have a 70% chance. With 600 wits, you have an 85% chance, the magic number. But you get the point. And then the calculation itself, for those who are math or good at this kind of math, there are diminishing returns after pretty much the 300-400 wits range. But still, if you push your wits all the way up, obviously in a vacuum, especially if you have a bunch of skills, that means the chance of all of your skills proccing is a lot higher than someone who has half the wits, basically. If you have 1200 wits. But that's a different story. And to kind of rewind back to the complete thing, as we shouldn't be blocked at all, so we should be able to win Takarazuka Kinen moderately easily, unless we didn't proc any stamina skills and we ran out of stamina / HP, but yeah, so the reason why the Wits build does have a lot more merits, especially if you're doing most of the things in game aside from team trials to some extent, is that for URA Finals, you can take skills to supplement what you lack. So for example, if you have a lot of good rare skills from SSR cards, then building Wits build will make more sense, because if you proc those skills more frequently, you are essentially making up for speed and power you may not have. If you're doing recovery skills, then you can make up for stamina that you don't have, which is the usually more thing you'll see the most, which is why Swinging Maestro, Arc Maestro is one of the most important things to have, because that is a card that we all immediately get, and from what I've looked into is still going to be relevant no matter where you are. Now, are you going to get power creeped here and there? Sure, but still, because the game is so RNG anyway, you working with the Super Creek will put you in a good place. Now, not be the greatest place, but if you want to argue that far, I mean, whales exist anyway, so unless you're whaling or you have the resources, I'm not saying you have no chance, but it's a lot lower than if you stay recent. Another way to say it, as we look at what we have here, actually, I think I wanted to focus stamina. Yeah, I did. So, we're going to do 1 or 2 wits and 2 stamina, 3 stamina instead. The primary reason for this, as we kind of focus back on this video, is that all these trainings count as level 5. In fact, if you look really closely at the animations, they are essentially the animations you get if these trainings were at level 5 while you're in Transcend Academy. Transcend Academy, am I pronouncing that right? Anywho, self-proclaimed person who's played Uma Musume before. But we will do Wits one more time. Oh, this is really juicy though, but that's a word to say during a video. But but yeah, you want to focus on your bad stats, or there is one way, and it's something that I've done before and you've seen me do before. It's just that these days I've mainly just, you know, focused on the cards I have. But at the same time, this still isn't too much different. But if you're doing Wits builds, this is where you can supplement the things that you don't have, like Guts or Stamina, most likely. But unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of that. I think I'm going to take Wits here. This means I need to do more stamina trainings outside of summer training. Otherwise, I won't survive the goal races coming up. Unless I get another stamina rare skill, which I probably don't have. Because then I would need to enter long... Wait, actually... Well, if it's for the goal races, I can take a long skill. But then I would be pretty much useless during the URA Finals, which are probably very heavily favored to be medium races. Oh, decisions and decisions. Well, I could start entering longs now. I can course correct. But then I'd be doing more races than training, which makes me sad. So, yeah, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? So this is our next long. So if we can get cooled... I don't think I wasn't paying attention to the... whatchamacallit events. The linked events. I'm losing my words right now. But I don't think I'm close to SSR McQueen's rare skill, is what I'm trying to say. Assume I get it. I think... Is it guaranteed or is it not? Some of these SSR cards... Well, some SSR cards, anyone who plays with Tazuna knows what I'm talking about. But if you train with that SSR card, there's a chance you don't get concentration. That's what I mean. But anywho. This is what I mean by there's a lot for me to learn. I could take power instead. I guess I will. Because this is a 2 for here. It increases power, stamina, and it increases the bonds with Biko Pegasus. Anywho. I was going to say something, but I don't think it would have been right. So anyway, moving on. This is the last one. Do we get cooldown? We do get cooldown. Again, if I take this though, this is a dead skill when I get to URA Finals. And by dead skill, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, it's not going to do anything for me. I mean, you could probably logic it out based on common sense, but yeah. Also, my body is in a weird way because I shifted my whole body to look at something else to do the Wits calculation. But my stamina's, yeah, I don't have enough stamina right now, is what I'm trying to say. So, I guess we will take deep breaths, if nothing else. We've built Wits, we might as well use it to our best advantage. I might still actually have enough stamina. And we can tell that based on, well, we'll just enter this right now and see. I'm actually just going to be really, really simple about it and look at my predictions here. I should have looked at the predictions before entering the race, but we'll look at it here. And then, well, since I can't really tell still, I think we have enough stamina. You just want to look at everyone else, so 300 stamina, we should have more than enough, but we'll watch the race just to do it. This probably is going to be one of my longer videos because, hey, as it turns out, when you watch a race in its entirety, that makes your video/stream a lot longer. But you do want to look at races at some point in your training career. If you're really into Uma Musume, whether you're seriously casual or seriously try-hard, you want to look at your races. It does give you information on what you want if you are not getting your information from other sources, whether it's other trainers, guides, video streams, so on and so forth. No late start that time, which, again, I believe that it still has an effect on end closers and late surgers. If for no other, I think it's late surgers, right? Am I finally getting that phrase right? Anyway, if you have a lot of girls who are doing the same strategy as you and you get a late start, I'm pretty sure that affects you a lot more no matter what your strategy is. But I won't deny that it is the most important for frontrunners because, well, if you get a late start and suddenly you're behind a pace chaser, yeah, that's not good. I think specifically you end up trying to use more HP, and it puts you out of position, if for nothing else, your skills to proc, and they don't proc, and that's not good, because you want your skills to proc if they can proc. But anywho, which brings up another question, but no, because there's the... That would make sense. Actually, yeah, I might as well brainstorm while I'm here. So we're not blocked. I should win this. If we don't win this, I've done something wrong with my stats. which will most likely be Guts. Now, I saw... Slow down. So, I think another thing, if there's nothing else to take away from this video, what you should be looking, although looking at the trainees on screen is important, another way to look at it, especially if you don't get good camera angles, is to look at top here. I don't have my cursor turned on for OBS, that's why you don't see my cursor, but you can still see me clicking here. So you want to look up here, specifically your own trainee, either by memorizing the number or looking at the glowing spark here. And this tells you a lot of what you can see. That's why whenever I say you can know when you're blocked, it's because you'll see your Musume just their number up top here, like just get dragged along with someone else. That's most likely either you being blocked or you ran out of HP and so you go down to your minimum speed, which is specifically what happens when you run out of well, to paraphrase it, when you run out of stamina, but specifically when you run out of HP. Alternatively, well, not on top of that, while Guts does determine is a big, or pretty much a D factor that determines your minimum speed, you shouldn't be hitting your minimum speed anyway, but it can help out, especially if you, for some reason, run out of HP. Most of the time, that's because of debuffers, but that's less an issue if you're trying just to just grind URA Finals. Ow, my face. But if we lose here, it's because someone procs a unique skill. So, as Vodka shoots up forward here, if nothing else happens, we are going to get overtaken. This is also a Guts issue as well. So specifically, if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, veteran trainers, but your Guts does determine your HP consumption during the final spurt, so my Guts being as low as it is probably didn't help out. So while, yeah, we probably were missing a lot of stamina, really, we were also missing a lot of Guts, which hurts us in the fight. That's what you'll see if you don't have the stamina and or the Guts. You'll just quickly drop off like that, and other people will pass you, which puts you in danger of getting hit by unique skills like simply Rudolph. Or Tokai Teo, or Goody Cap. Again, going silent for the sake of timestamps. So yeah, we barely hit the stamina requirement, but it's really our Guts here that just slapped us around. So basically, me taking this Guts training here is going to help us out immensely. Although, because we're in medium races, we probably want a little bit more Guts. And if we have URA Finals races, we definitely want more Guts. But at this point, a lot of veteran trainers will go, Jordan, you should have just left it to your stamina to increase your Guts. The problem here is that we don't... I don't remember these. I've just started using my own Top Gun and I haven't looked at it. Okay, good, stamina. Use stamina to increase Guts. Basically, for those who don't know or forgot, when you train stamina, you get Guts as well. But the problem is I don't have enough turns to deal with that. And the solution there would have been to fix this earlier, but I didn't. So that's all I really have to say. This is going to be quite sad as well, because at this point, you would also be valid to say, Jordan, you're barring a Max Kita-san Black. Why are you having so much trouble in career? And to that I say, yeah, you're right. Goodness. Anywho, that being said, if you're doing a Wits run, you usually want a Wits card anyway, so there was no reason for me not to take a Marvelous Sunday, or even my level 40 Daiwa Scarlet. Yeah, we'll take the speed training here. Now, I'm a bit scared here because we are still missing quite a bit of Guts and quite a bit of stamina. But stamina I'm less worried about if my skills proc. I don't even remember if my skills procced during the last race, but hey. Anywho, let's actually take simply Rudolph's unique here, because if we can hold the front, we don't have to worry about being passed up as much. But if one of the three aforementioned Musume does catch up to me, we're in trouble anyway. It's very obvious. I think like 7 out of 10 times when I see just me or other people get taken over by one of those three aforementioned Musume, we'll watch this race as well. Tokai Teo, Oguri Cap, simply Rudolph. And for those who don't know, basically you're looking for a velocity up to appear on one of those three as you enter the final corner. So, or while you're entering the final corner, anywhere up to the final spurt, or even after that. But basically those are the peak times that I see, like, again, 7 out of 8 times. And up to down to 7 to 10 times when those girls catch up. Aside from the Grass Wonder, Gold Chip, and Vodka tragedies that happen as well, but that's a different story. So, we do have an Oguri Cap here. We also have a Simply Rudolph. She stands out, so I don't know why I can just spot Simply Rudolph off to the side. But yeah, as we're kind of just sitting here watching for a moment, where for some reason we're in third place. Oh, we're a pace chaser. I forgot to set myself to an end closer. Anywho, well, this isn't the worst thing in the world. It just means I'm locked out of a unique. That's a very, very likely factor as to why we're losing. Because if you didn't know, also pace chasers receive a stamina. Or if nothing else, they start with the least amount of stamina going into a race. Simply because you choose, literally because you choose pace chaser. If I recall correctly, I mean, I have it in front of me over here. I might as well look it up. But let's see here. Strategy, right? It would just be strategy. I feel like there's something else. Would it be here? I think it's here. I'm going crazy. Well, I'm kind of turned away from a microphone, so if I sound different, that's the reason why. But then overtake. I'm going to say these things out loud just so you know. You know. If you know, you know. If you don't, you can try to grasp around and find out. But otherwise, strategy. Oh, that's something else. I am not even starting in the right place. Oh my sweet goodness, please. Well, okay, yeah, there. I'm going crazy. Just anchor. So, yeah, so specifically, front runners, during max HP conversion, front runners get their total coefficient multiplied, or the coefficient multiplier is 0.95. Let's say the number straight out. I'm looking at it, so we might as well reference it here. Pace chasers have a coefficient of 0.890 or 89, sorry. Late surgers have a coefficient of 1.0, and closers have a coefficient of 0.99 and 5. And when there is, well, it's currently not translated because we don't have, I don't think we have an equivalent in global, but there's an Onige version that is 0.86. So yeah, that's essentially what you're looking at. But otherwise. And I think that Onige is basically the extreme version of Front Runner. I can't remember though. Anywho, it could be the direct opposite. Again, I completely forgot. But I'm basing that off my own knowledge of just Japanese language in general, which Onige would be, you know, a large, very translated wise, large run, because that would be nigeru, to run essentially, and then O meaning the big kanji, dai kanji. And if for some reason that's like an extreme version of an end closer, that actually might be. Otherwise they would have organized that differently, right? I'm going crazy. Anywho, hey, someone who's so-called, I mean, I did stop, but to give you an idea of my own experience and how much experience I actually have, I need to set myself to end closer again. I completely forgot that I were a pace chaser. But anywho, things. Either way, those are the coefficients that go into the calculator. Oh my goodness, I hit rest on accident. Whoa! And then we get raffle time. I really messed this up. Well, that was a waste of 2 turns. Anywho, it's not over, but boy, was that not great to do. So, we might as well just burn this energy now. We can still burn it. My question is, do we even get to upgrade our skill? That's not the most important thing, but I'm just curious for my own sake. But yes, we need to set ourselves to End Runner. If for no other reason, then we are losing a lot of stamina because of it. And we don't have a lot of stamina at the moment. So hey, we'll definitely get Valentine's Day. I'm pretty sure we have enough fans for this. And by extension, the next one, but... yeah, oh my goodness, McQueen is only at blue. Well... I guess we're gonna just pray that we make it to the summer. If we make it to the summer, our stamina will be okay. If we don't, though, sadness happens. So I guess we're gonna find out. We're gonna take energy here. And yeah, we're just gonna concentrate on speed. Although we did get a lot of people sitting in this, so you know what? We can still recover energy, it's fine. But yes, if nothing else to take away, Wits does work. It's because of the mistakes I'm making during the training that it's not working as well. And again, if you don't believe me, just look at any... the game gives you so much information, especially how other people train their Uma Musume. You can literally... I mean, we can do it right here, too. If we look at this Super Creek here... Never mind. Am I going crazy? I'm going crazy. Not there. Okay, never mind. Forget what I said. But if you can click on anyone and their Uma Musume, and you'll get information You won't get everything, but it's a lot more than you would get in most other games, essentially. Because boy, does it tells you a lot. And if nothing else, it tells you the support card deck that they used, and then how they place. I think how they place it can be an important indicator of how consistent something can be. Especially if you're looking at a lot of Musume. Period. That's the end of the sentence. So if you notice, again, people running Wits builds, they're constantly getting, first place. Although, from what I see, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mean, out of the 12 Musume I've looked at, a lot of them do have a lot of third places and second places on the very first races after the junior make debut. But that's also true for, there's just as much, from what I've seen, for people who are not running as much Wits. But anywho. And by that I mean I'm checking Musume I'm checking players and trainers who are at the top of my current class, in class 5 right now in global server. Is that still the max class? I feel like that's, for some reason I don't feel that's, I feel like there's a class 6. I did start late, I don't think I started that late though, but anywho. Moving on with life. We are in another long race. Actually, I should take a skill if I can. I don't think we can take it a lot of skill. 128, that doesn't look like a lot, aside from green skills, but we can't take straightaway recovery. No, we want corner recovery. So, the reason you take corner recovery over straights, usually, or not usually, but at times, is because straightaway recovery can proc literally 2 to 3 seconds into a race. I have seen it for myself, but in the end, it is a, hey, trust me, bro. I mean, I should have taken straightaway recovery just in case it happens, but essentially it can happen very early on in a race, in which you don't need it, because you might actually be overhealing. That's usually not the case, but because that can happen, and the opposite cannot happen, in terms for corner recovery, then you essentially can lose basically value on recovery skills that happen on a straight. But to flip that around, or to move on to corner recovery, the reason why corner recovery is also a lot more valuable is because, well, there aren't, well, first of all, there's only I think one sprint race that does not have a single corner, but in that case you don't need stamina recovery skills, and every other race has at least one corner anyway. So what that means is that since you start on a straight, it's possible for you to immediately proc a straight recovery skill. A recovery skill that happens on a straight. But because a corner usually happens, 200, 400 meters out, by that time, even if it's a rare recovery skill, you'll probably get your values worth, even if you healed, maybe I healed an extra 50 HP over. That's not as much as you would lose immediately proccing a recovery skill on a straight. Now at this point, I forgot to switch to end closer. We can fix that if we have to clock here. Yeah, this is a goal race, so we can clock here if we fail. But if nothing else, I hope we proc every single recovery skill. This is a long race, so shrug. I don't know why I snapped my fingers. I forgot what I was gonna say now. Anywho. Yes, that anywho is one of my filler phrases for when I'm moving on from what I forgot. But, and so is BUT, but, yeah, we get deep breaths there. But yeah, the recovery on straights, I find it a little, they're still both valuable. If you can take them, especially if they're rare versions of the skills. But if I had to choose between Swinging Maestro or Breath of Fresh Air, I would rather take Swinging Maestro, because again, a corner is going to happen later on in the run, especially during longer races. Like, the longer a race, the more likely a corner is going to happen at least 200, 400 meters away, which in that case, again, you're likely getting, if not almost always, getting your values worth out of that recovery skill, as opposed to Breath of Fresh Air, which can immediately happen 100 meters out from the starting gate, which does not mean... Oh, that's what I want to talk about. So, some people might be wondering at this point, well, Jordan, you talked about skill proc rates, but you also talked about the requirements. So, if they proc earlier in the race and are guaranteed to happen, doesn't that mean... Then why is it that sometimes my skills don't activate? It's because their requirements aren't met. I assume that's the case. Now, again, this is kind of hearsay at this point, or basically a just trust me, bro. But I think that's how it works. So, the game checks whether or not a skill is going to happen at all. But then even if it is slated to happen, as someone else as TM Opera O speeds up right behind us, oh man, I need to be an end closer. But Actually, even if we get second, I don't think we can clock, which makes me sad. Funny enough, I would wish I could... Well, no, I don't. I'm running out of clocks. But, so what I mean by that is, so say you proc Teo's unique skill at the very beginning of a race, or before the race even starts, the game checks, well, oh yeah, we're going to check Teo's unique skill, Teo step, and, oh, hey, guess what? It can happen. But, during the race, it then checks, I guess, when it can occur, and that's why there's always this little, not detail, nuance or detail. Yeah, it's because we're a pace raiser, Tasana, I'm sorry. But, then you have to meet the requirements for it to happen in a race, which obviously may not happen while the race is going on. I mean, if you want to really speak technical terms, I know we're kind of cutting into the sandwich here, which I usually don't like to do, and by that I mean we're talking about the code. But, if I'm getting this right, as we move into the next timestamp, if I'm getting this right, then there are basically two checks. The first check is if it happens at all during a race, and the second check is whether or not you meet the requirements so it can proc. And if that's the case, that's why you see this little detail before I was rudely interrupted by TM Opera O. That is the details that you may see in some places that says this skill will usually happen at the latest it can. The biggest example is literally Swinging Maestro. 18%! Yeah. Is Swinging Maestro, in which it will always occur at the final version of the same corner. So if you pass a corner more than once during a race, it'll happen at the last instance of you passing that corner. And I think I remembered something's wrong. But anywho. We need to survive this. I need to remember to put myself to end closer. Oh, goodness. I mean, it's not like we'll never get sleep deprived, but would have been nice before summer to not get that, because now I probably likely have to rest. But anywho. So this is a medium race, so I don't get to proc my cooldown skill, if I even have cooldown. But when I say that, I meant the normal skill if I don't have cooldown, which I'm pretty sure I don't have. But since I'm not, well, actually we might. So let's actually change this. I've been pace chaser the whole time. We have an S in aptitude, but I promise you the loss of stamina is probably not as great. Or maybe it is. Again, veteran trainers or those who know can let me know. Or you can weigh in, because I don't know if you're a veteran trainer or not. Unless, well, is that true? No, I'm not gonna say that. Anywho. Moving on. But as this video is probably going to go over an hour long, because, well, I'm watching a lot of my races at this point. I have, as I mentioned before, when I'm scouting and stuff, I've known people in real life, and just obviously content creators and streamers themselves. I didn't mean to actually skip that there, but hopefully we pass everyone. We're on the outside. You can actually tell when your Musume is in the inner or outer based on the top UI there, but as we move forward here, yeah, I've seen people scout Kitasan Black pretty much in their first 10 scout. That's all I'm trying to say, along with other things. I think someone in particular that I know, I think it was Super Creek and Kitasan Black in their first 10 scout. Now, they did reroll, but shrug. And you might say, just to clear the air, this person started after the Special Week event card event, which means they literally have no reason not, well, there's a very, 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 very good reason for them to reroll during Kitasan Black, which, hey, now are they likely to 4MLB it? No, but the fact that they pulled it at all is a lot better than I, who had to exchange and used up all the carrots. But to explain, even in the exact same video that this video is kind of, I mean, let's be honest here, there's a very specific video that came out recently, very recently, that is bringing Rise to the phrase into the global server. That is, yeah, this Musume is a Wits game, but there is some nuance to that. I'm not saying it's negative nuance or anything. This is, I'm gonna force the stamina here. I did this to myself, but it is usually very specific. Well, it's actually true in PvP as well, at least in team trial races, so I can't even say that much. But there is a lot of things to say about that, and mainly that if you, for some reason, are not getting the skills, then your Wits build is going to be less likely to work because you have no skills to proc. So I think the most important thing basically I can say is that, yes, you want to take more skills if you are making a Wits build. But at the same time, yes, you also cannot ignore your stats. That's the other which should be obvious thing to say. Which, again, noting here, we are not likely to get our stamina to 600. But again, I'm sacrificing my chance to get 3-star stamina sparks to make this video, essentially. Although if I wanted to, I mean, I'm not saying it's at all impossible. It certainly was possible, especially with 2 stamina supports that are, I mean, yeah, one of them is a level 18 SR, but that's not, you certainly can hit 600 stamina. You just saw me mess up a lot. I think I still have enough to even do the event with Director Akikawa, but anywho. Now the question I really want to ask is whether or not I'll get my power to 600 at least, because then at least I can use this gold ship if she inherits at least a 2-star spark somewhere else. But that also depends on the other aptitude, because I am sitting on a lot of good stuff. Is this energy as well? I think this is energy at least, right? Yeah, 10 energy. And stuff. That would be nice, but do I want to go full all the way? I think it's like a 3% increase in skill proc rate if I get 700 wits, but basically I don't need more than 600 wits here. I think that's another good race point. I would say to stop, but if you're going the whole way with a Wits build, I mean, feel free to go even higher. But in my opinion, unless you're hitting 1200 wits, there's not really any much reason to go more than 600. Now, my speed, on the other hand, is a different story, but this is when you want to consider using, I guess, PAL cards. I'll start saying that because that's what the game calls it. Don't hurt me, robots. I'm not referencing another game, but yeah, with PAL cards like Tazna and Aoi, there are, I'm not going to say they're a majority. From what I've seen, it's not a majority, but definitely more than a few trainers that are at least sitting at the top of Class 5 team trials right now do have Tazna used somewhere. Now, it is a level 50 Tazna, so I'm doing kind of a head motion to kind of say the point, but yeah, as if nothing else, when your support cards are also just good on their own, but also max level, it turns out makes a big difference. If this run even itself, because again, I'm just using this Mayano Top Gun, which, for all fairness, it's not a lot of experience apparently, but if I'm going to keep using it, I might as well just keep it in the deck. But I'm just going to, when I'm not using, or when I'm not training Gold Ship like this, I will probably be using my first deck, which was used in a previous, or pretty much the last 4 to 5 previous Gold Ship videos, with varying degrees of change. Obviously, my early proc video of Gold Ship was before the Kitasan Black Banner, when I pulled everything with all of my carrots. So it's gonna look a lot different than now, especially when the Kitasan Black Banner comes out. And I'm borrowing a max uncapped Kitasan Black at level 50. But again, there's gonna be some changes here and there, and I do believe that there is some interest in seeing how people or trainers, basically trainer-player expression in how they train their girls with what support cards, with what legacies that they inherit. Although, again, a lot of trainers are still in the kind of phase where they're looking for basically really just stacking any 3 stars that they get while borrowing a guest. I'm not borrowing as many guests, not because I feel proud or confident or anything, it's literally because as we're kind of stuck here, we are blocked a little bit, so let's hope that Gold Ship finds her way out. She's not, but here we got blocked. We got blocked here. Gold Ship may break out eventually, but she's been blocked for a bit. Now, at 400 meters, you usually want to see Gold Ship push forward as someone who has experience, so we can win this. In fact, we are going to win this, unless someone else shoots out from past Special Week, but anywho. Yeah, that is scary to watch. But just know, basically at 400 meters, if you're accelerating like that, there's a chance for you to win. Now, if someone else accelerates, or, well, literally if someone else accelerates, start panicking. This is also going to be a lower fan run because I'm trying to concentrate on increasing our stats because I did my little stamina fiasco. On top of just resting when I didn't need to. But anywho. Funny enough, there are still a few events that I have not seen as Gold Ship, although a lot of them have to do with purposely messing up at this point, because I would have to purposely mess up, otherwise I have a very, very, very low chance of running into those events myself. On top of just secret events as well, but that's a different topic entirely. So, my primary worry is not having the stamina and the guts, funny enough. Although I have worked with less guts before, I think once, really. But let's find out. If nothing else, this video is going to stand testament to that fact. Now, we didn't get anything else, but if we can actually still get 600 stamina, but we'd have to get really, really lucky with our friendship trading. And by that, I mean, literally, Mayano, I keep saying Hayano. I'm just going to look this up right now because I'm not a true Uma Musume. Mayano, Top Gun, and McQueen have to keep proccing friendship trainings, and if they don't, we're not going to go for it. We might not even hit 600 power, so between the two, I mean, I'll still take speed. Funny enough, I don't have a single... I think I know, actually I do. And they're on very unfortunate trainings, but I'll have to review my veterans. Again, I'm using the game's terminology here, but as we enter Arima Kinen... So, something else, if I were to kind of shift this deck here, I think I would replace Mayano Top Gun with my Silent Suzuka, because my Silent Suzuka is level 35 and it grants me a skill point. Now, that's not entirely great for my speed training, but I think this, especially if I concentrate on long races, this SSR McQueen here can carry my URA Finals or just long races in general. And the primary reason the real reason I say that is because I did, so for those who don't know, I mean, it says right here, my gold chip is potential level 5, which means we do have Go Home Specialist, which is another rare recovery skill that can proc on top of, say, I get cooldown. And I could run Gorman with Special Week here, question mark. We can take a look while this race is going on, but I think it's thing here. Yeah, Gorman, Pace Chaser, if I decide to run a Pace Chaser Gold Chip. Now that does rob me of Gold Chip's Unique. For those who don't know, Gold Chip's Unique, you need to be less than 50%. So here I need to be at least 9th place and below, not 8th place and below. Somewhere in the second half of the race. So if that doesn't happen as we get rushed here, oh, this could be bad. Yeah, you don't, as a Pace Chaser, you will most likely, unless you get blocked, and in that case, you're probably in a worse situation. You're not going to proc Gold Chip's Unique. But if you want to run Gorman, the rare recovery skill with Gold Chip, you need to be a Pace Chaser, so... Shrug! But again, at this point, you're using the Special Week event card to get speed, because you have it at level 50, because it's a another way to say it is another way to say it is that it's a welfare card. So there's the Unique, and there's Go Home Specialist. Now with this, we should be doing a lot better. Another way to look at your end closes is that you want to see them kind of pull up here, even though we were being rushed earlier. But seeing them pull up here isn't scary either, because this can be just as good as being in the back. And the reason why the back is scary is because, well, you could just get blocked. So when you're moving to the front as an end closer here, things can look a lot better. Now, that being said, I think it's also because, yeah, being rushed does change your strategy, kind of. I thought it only changes your strategy for the duration of being rushed, which I think has a max duration of 12 seconds. And every, is it 3 seconds or a second, that you can shake it off, I think, at a 50% rate. But anywho, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, for what I'm saying, I think most of what I'm saying is accurate. But as we take the lead here, in another funny way, I don't know if Rush, because if we're looking objectively at what Rush does, if you change from an end closer to a, say, a front runner strategy, can you do that? Actually, I'm going crazy now. Let's actually check, because now I have the thing in front of me. I don't know why I'm not looking at it as we're sitting here waiting for the game to load, but I should actually just look for the phrase in Romaji. But as we complete all of our goals, end closers have end closers have a chance to become all 3, but they're most likely at a 70% chance going to become a late surger. 20% chance to become a pace chaser, and 10% chance to become a front runner. But again, funny enough, in that case, again, if we're really looking at the minuses there, 9% please. Okay, good. We got all of our RNG out of the way. But yeah, every 3 seconds while you're being rushed, you have a 55% chance to get rid of it. Snap out of it is the phrase used in the document, but again, I'm literally reading off the source, so if I'm wrong, the source is wrong. But yeah, in that case, okay, let me finish what I was saying. So the main downside to being rushed is that you take a big hit to your stamina use. So HP consumption is increased to 1.6 times. That's the direct quote But if you have enough stamina, then really you might benefit from becoming a say that my actually no 70% chance to become runner. Oh, I'm going crazy. Let me correct myself earlier. So if someone was probably already shouting at me from beyond the screen, but end closers have a 70% chance to become front runners, have a 20% chance to become pace chasers, and a 10% chance to become late surgers. I was reading that wrong because I saw the word runners, and I connected that with front runners, and no, that's not the case. Runners is the shorthand in this document for the Japanese version, which is essentially called that. Because then they use the words leaders and betweeners, which are essentially the English translations of the Japanese strategy names. But you get the point. To correct myself, yeah, 70%. So 70%. So say that my gold ship did become a front runner. That might have actually been better because now we're using all of our speed, and if we have enough stamina, we're not going to be blocked because we're front runners. So hey, shrug. But again, the main problem is that a lot of times you are fine-tuning your stats so that they perfectly hit the stamina consumption stamina requirement. So if you do that, but then your Uma Musume gets rushed during a race. By the way, we effectively have I think the game uses the adjusted wisdom to determine that. Although it's a 10% chance, really, or we'll just call it 50%. It's close enough to 15% that I don't care. So every race, I pretty much have a 15% chance to proc rushed. So shrug. But aside from that, yeah, 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds while you're being rushed, you have a 55% chance to recover. And then I think there's one specific skill that can extend the max duration of being rushed. Otherwise, normally it's 12 seconds. But as we actually proc the unique here, let's find out. If we proc every single stamina skill, we should still be okay, I think. But I guess we'll find out. And then, yeah, going over to these other mechanics. Again, you want to... I think, I mean, there's good reason to focus on the current, I guess, meta of Uma Musume, which, if you're not just doing wits building, then you're trying to balance all your stats aside from guts, but you do still want to be conscious of the changes. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to do that myself, just because I am one of the people who are just focused on the current building of my Uma Musume, but... Again, keeping in mind that the future mechanics that have to do with, like, that help out stamina more, that help out guts more especially, is something to keep in mind. Shrug, that's all I have to say. But anywho. So yeah, funny enough, being rushed, because if being rushed means that your Uma Musume stops herself from being blocked because of adapting a strategy that goes forward more, then funny enough, I could help you out. But I assume most of the time it's a bad thing. It's just that the URA Finals scenario, it does make things a bit funny because obviously, while you're receiving the difficulty buff, and then you are also you're also doing. We're gonna skip the semifinal, by the way. So off we go. But yeah, you're also probably out once you have even just, especially if you're where I'm at, or where I'm at, even though my cards might not look as great, even though I think they are good if you really look under a microscope. Again, see the, I don't know what it's called. I know there's a video in which I've basically named my videos in terms of the series I would want them to be. So opening gate or opening scout is for scouting things, grinding gate is for when I'm grinding things. There's specifically another one for, am I going to be able to hit 600 power? I think it's like 30. You get at least... No, because then I would need the PAL. I would have needed Tazna here. Never mind. I think I messed up. Anywho. Oh, we need a lot more than 30, by the way. Anywho. I forgot what I was saying because I mixed myself up. Also, we could have taken straightaway recovery. I guess we'll take focus. Actually, we never took cooldown. So you know what? Now we're on medium races, right? Actually, let me check that. Yeah, we're in medium races, so we can't even proc cooldown anyway. I guess I can talk about that. So another thing, I mean, yeah, I might not need cooldown anymore, but if I took cooldown, it does help me out during the goal races, just in case. But again, I'm still not familiar with the exact stamina requirements if I have a certain number of normal and or rare recovery skills. Shrug, that's all I have to say. Is it 3? I thought you need 3. I think 3 still isn't at the level of a rare recovery skill, 3 normal skills, because I thought it was 0.15. Am I getting that right? Now I want to look somewhere else. Oh, I might as well do this while the game's loading. So, specifically, just to fill the air here, what are the exact recovery rates for normal skills versus most rare skills, which are pretty much the same in their genre, but you get what I'm trying to say. So what is the exact value? Oh my goodness, I did everything but that. That makes me sad. But, so let's take a corner recovery. Recovery 0.015. Straight recovery should also be 0.015, which it is. Let's see, preferred position 0.015. And now we look at a rare, swinging maestro, 0.055. So yeah, 3 isn't directly equal to 1, but if you have 3, it's near enough where it doesn't matter, especially if they're kind of spread out. So, but again, if you take specifically swinging maestro, you're most likely getting the whole value anyway, unless I'm wrong about that, because I haven't calculated that. I actually don't know the exact calculation of what that would go into. I assume it's... No, I'm not going to assume because I don't know for sure. Anywho, moving on. Just to fill the air though, Breath of Fresh Air also 0.055, Iron Wheel also 0.055, but it has a very, 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 very specific requirement. And can proc based on, I think, just literally starting out the gate, because when you start out the gate, there can be people in front of you, and if you get the healing pretty much 2 seconds after starting the race, you're probably not getting the full recovery because you're just at max HP again. But anywho. So moving on, yeah, in the middle of this race, all these skills proccing, we should get the full value. And again, for those who don't know, I don't have the... I mean, I could pull it up, but essentially, the longer a race, race's length is factored into the calculation for your HP, along with your stamina. So, if I can find this... I mean, why do I not use the tabs here? They exist for a reason, but... Anywho... Yeah, so specifically, again, we'll just say this outright because we are a little blocked here. Yeah, we're definitely blocked. But she can make it out. Goldship can still make it out. But yeah, at this point, it's a little too late. And again, it doesn't look like Goldship was blocked, but I promise you she was blocked here. So, could happen. Could. When you're running from outer here, the camera really does not do you any favors. But hey, I'll take it. So, as we get drop kicked here, okay, let's just say it outright. Max HP equals 0.8 times strategy coefficient, which is what I mentioned earlier in the video, times your stamina stat, and I think that's adjusted after the mood and whatnot, because there are usually 2. There's an adjusted stat and the base stat, plus the course distance. Oh, plus. Oh, I thought it was for some reason multiplied by the course distance time another coefficient modifier. And not exactly a magic number. And I think the only magic number here is that 0.8 in the calculation, but you get what I'm trying to say at this point. Did we get a hot spring ticket here, by the way? No, I think we just got something normal, right? Yeah. So, anywho, that's enough spreadsheet gaming for now. If nothing else, I mean, just goes to show, hey, Wits build, but I actually wanted stamina, because again, I'm focusing on stamina sparks, but if one or the other strategy is more consistent for winning URA Finals, I'll try to find a way to get my stamina sparks, essentially. But, anywho, again, I like to just take rainy situation. Actually, I should have taken anything else. In fact, I should probably just take cooldown just to be safe here. Homestretch haste would probably be... is it? I'm going... There's a lot I need to look up, basically. There's still a lot for me to learn myself, but... if you want to know what I'm going to be doing in Musume, it's probably just going to be getting a bunch of trophies to try and get as much carrots. There are a lot of carrots that people are likely missing from not getting their trophies. If you are not... if you've never been focused on getting trophies that you have never gotten yet, and those are primarily from your G1, G1, 2, I mean, really just from your G1, G2, G3 races. And yes, playing with Wits builds as we roll 1 star on power. Actually, our power didn't hit 600, did it? But you get the point. Yeah, it didn't hit 600. Yeah, playing with the Wits build, as it turns out, your rate this A rating here is also a Wits build as well. I think I'll show you that really quickly before we end the video, but... yeah, as it turns out, your rating becomes a lot better, but you do sacrifice other things. Like, if you're where I am, maybe you can't get your stamina and or power to 600 consistently, so it's harder for or you can't get 3-star sparks. Or maybe you are looking for fans and you don't have and when you're focused on a Wits build, for whatever reason you don't have your fan bonus or you're not doing as many races. Then yeah, you're taking a hit there. But again, this is what I mean by the nuance, and there's some player expression in terms of what you want to see. Now, obviously, there are things that do and do not work at this point, but as I show you pretty much my veteran list here, just really quickly, just showing you the A rank gold chip that I trained. And again, I'm doing Oguri Cap for a lot of dirt trophies, but so this was quote-unquote my Wits build. You can see why I quote-unquote called it my Wits build, because I was using pretty much the exact same deck, but I got my stamina power to 600. Although, yes, I did not concentrate as much on Wits. So, funny enough, this is a more balanced gold chip that I would like to use in other places. And just to show, again, it doesn't give you the whole story, because you obviously watching someone play turn by turn would help out the most, but that's Tenno Sho, Spring 2nd, this Tokyo Yushin, which is like after the summer, I think. But you get what the point. There are some problems that I'm still having. Now, that's not to say that you can't get first in every race, goal race, when you're running with the Wits build, but if nothing else, I'm still having my own problems trying to perfect it. But yeah, without further ado, not really much else to say. If you want to give me any advice, if you want to comment, criticize anything, if you want to have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, I'm not the most knowledgeable source, but I can certainly try to look up and either refer you to those sources or quote them by name. But yeah, without further ado, thank you for watching. If you have anything else to say, or if you want to support me, feel free to do so. If you see any ads, I did not monetize this video, or I shouldn't have. So yeah, I'll see you then. But yeah, I'll definitely continue playing Musume. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye!